Welcome to True Crime Case Files. Today's episode takes us to Lakeland, Florida, in early June of 2015. This is the story of a kind, selfless nurse whose life ended in an unimaginable act of violence. Angela Barrett was 38 years old and lived in Lakeland, Florida. She worked as a registered nurse at Lakeland Regional Health, where she was admired for her kindness and skill. Angela was deeply involved in her community, volunteering at the Agate Food Bank and teaching Sunday school at First Baptist Church. She had a warm smile and a giving heart, which made her well loved by everyone who knew her. Angela's life revolved around helping others. She married Michael Barrett, her high school sweetheart, in 1997, right after they graduated from Kathleen High School. The couple seemed like a perfect match. They often attended Lakeland Tigers baseball games and spent weekends walking through Hollis Garden. For almost 2 decades, Angela supported Michael through good times and bad. In 2014, Michael was diagnosed with kidney failure. Doctors warned that he wouldn't survive without a transplant. Without hesitation, Angela donated one of her kidneys to save his life. Her coworkers and friends at the hospital called her a hero, and a story about her selflessness even appeared in the Ledger, Lakeland's local newspaper. But Angela's happy life soon fell apart. Just 6 months after his recovery, Michael filed for divorce. He cited irreconcilable differences, but friends close to Angela said she was heartbroken. Michael moved out and quickly remarried Stephanie, a yoga instructor he had been seeing in secret. After the divorce, Angela struggled to rebuild her life. She moved into a small home on Meadowbrook Avenue and spent her free time volunteering and reconnecting with friends. Angela's faith became her anchor during this difficult time. She led a prayer group at her church and often said, "God has a plan for me." In early June of 2015, Angela was organizing a food drive for struggling families. She spent hours designing flyers and posted them at local grocery stores, including Publix and Winn-Dixie. She also talked about going back to school to specialize in pediatric nursing, a dream she had put on hold to focus on her marriage. Despite everything, Angela remained hopeful. She was finally starting to find herself again, her friend Sarah Tompkins later told reporters. But Angela never got the chance to live out her dreams. Just days later, her life was tragically cut short. On the morning of June 8, 2015, Lakeland was already warm, with a bright sun casting light over the quiet streets. Around 9:15 a.m., Angela Barrett's neighbor, 62-year-old Ron Pierce, decided to check on her. He hadn't seen Angela in 2 days, which was unusual. She was usually up early, tending to her small garden, or heading out to work at Lakeland Regional Health. Ron knocked on Angela's front door on Meadowbrook Avenue, but there was no answer. At first, he thought she might have left early for her volunteer work at the Agate Food Bank. But then he noticed her car, a silver Toyota Camry, parked in the driveway. Concerned, he peeked through the front window and saw something alarming. The living room looked messy, with an overturned chair and a dark stain on the carpet. Feeling uneasy, Ron called Angela's phone, but it went straight to voicemail. He decided to go around to the back of the house. There, he found the sliding glass door partially open. Nervously, he stepped inside and immediately smelled something foul. As he entered the living room, Ron froze in shock. Blood was splattered across the walls, and the scene was eerily quiet. Ron didn't look any further. He stumbled back outside, shaking, and called 911. "There's blood everywhere," he told the dispatcher, his voice trembling. "I think something terrible has happened." Lakeland police officers arrived within 15 minutes. The neighborhood was soon cordoned off with yellow police tape, and curious neighbors began gathering outside. Ron, visibly shaken, sat on the curb, answering the officers' questions. Inside the house, officers found evidence of a violent struggle. Blood trails led from the living room to the kitchen, but Angela was not there. As investigators searched the home, it became clear that Angela was missing. This prompted an urgent call for backup, and by noon, forensic teams were combing the property. The grim discovery came later that evening, when part of Angela's dismembered body was found in a wooded area near the Lakeland Highland Scrub Preserve, just 3 miles from her home. A hiker stumbled upon the remains and called authorities immediately. Angela's death, once a mystery, now pointed to a horrifying act of violence. When police arrived at Angela Barrett's home on Meadowbrook Avenue on June 8, 2015, they were met with a scene that suggested a violent and chaotic struggle. Led by Detective Carla Jensen, a seasoned investigator known for her sharp instincts, officers entered the home cautiously. The living room was in disarray, with furniture overturned and blood spattered on the walls and carpet. The forensic team, equipped with state-of-the-art tools, began meticulously documenting the scene. They used luminol to detect blood trails that were not visible to the naked eye. These trails suggested Angela had been attacked in the living room before being moved to the kitchen. A broken glass vase lay on the floor, and investigators noted what appeared to be drag marks leading toward the back of the house. Detective Jensen described the scene as disturbing and deliberate. The crime scene wasn't just messy, it appeared staged. A framed family photo had been smashed, and Angela's purse had been emptied, with its contents scattered across the floor. Police initially considered the possibility of a robbery gone wrong, but nothing of significant value seemed to be missing, including Angela's jewelry and electronics. In the kitchen, investigators found more troubling evidence. Blood pooled near the sink, and a large butcher knife was missing from the knife block. Forensic experts collected fingerprints, shoe prints, and hair samples. They also took note of a single muddy footprint leading out the sliding glass door. By midday, the focus of the investigation expanded beyond the home. Detective Jensen organized a search team to canvass the neighborhood for witnesses or security footage. Officers went door to door, asking neighbors if they had seen or heard anything unusual. One neighbor mentioned hearing what she thought was a loud argument the night before, but dismissed it as a domestic dispute. Later that evening, a new lead emerged. A hiker at Lakeland Highlands Scrub Preserve discovered another part of Angela's dismembered body in a shallow grave. Police quickly expanded their search, recovering additional remains in nearby areas. The discovery confirmed their worst fears. This was no random act of violence. Investigators worked late into the night, piecing together clues. They were determined to find Angela's killer, knowing they had a brutal and calculated murderer on their hands. Forensic evidence collected from the home, and the body would soon become key to solving the case. The first person police questioned in connection to Angela Barrett's murder was her ex-husband, Michael Barrett. At 40 years old, Michael was a well-known real estate agent in Lakeland, Florida. He had built a reputation for being charming and persuasive, traits that had served him well in selling homes. But beneath his polished exterior, Michael had a darker side that would soon come to light. Michael and Angela had been high school sweethearts, married for nearly 20 years. Angela had stood by him through thick and thin, even donating her kidney to save his life during his battle with kidney failure. Despite this ultimate act of love, Michael had divorced her only 6 months after his recovery, citing irreconcilable differences. He quickly remarried his mistress, Stephanie, a yoga instructor. The speed of his new marriage and his cold dismissal of Angela had left many in their community shocked. When police brought Michael in for questioning on the evening of June 9, 2015, he appeared calm and cooperative. He told detectives that he had been home with Stephanie the night Angela was last seen alive. "We were watching Game of Thrones," he claimed, mentioning that it was one of their favorite shows. Investigators noted his cool demeanor but pressed him for more details about his relationship with Angela. Michael admitted their divorce had been bitter. He described Angela as a crazy, hysterical woman and claimed she had been obsessed with interfering in his new marriage. Detectives found this statement suspicious, considering Angela's devout Christian faith and reputation for kindness. Friends and family had described her as heartbroken but determined to rebuild her life. When detectives asked Michael about his financial situation, cracks began to show in his story. Records revealed that Michael was struggling with debt. His real estate firm had underperformed in recent months, and he had taken out several loans. Police speculated that Angela's death could benefit Michael financially if he had taken out a life insurance policy on her during their marriage. Michael's calm exterior began to waver when investigators questioned him about his whereabouts more closely. He struggled to provide specific times and became defensive. Detectives also confronted him with evidence that Angela had recently uncovered documents linking him to real estate fraud. Though Michael denied knowing anything about Angela's findings, police were not convinced. Forensic evidence from Angela's home added to the mounting suspicion. Partial fingerprints on the sliding glass door were a potential match for Michael, though further analysis was required. Additionally, detectives discovered that Michael had texted Angela multiple times in the week before her death, asking to talk things out. Though Michael maintained his innocence, His behavior during the interrogation raised red flags. Police released him for the time being, but kept him under close surveillance. The pressure on Michael was growing, and investigators knew he had secrets he wasn't sharing. The second person investigators turned their attention to was Stephanie Barrett, Angela's ex-husband's new wife. At 35, Stephanie was a yoga instructor with a loyal following at her small studio in downtown Lakeland. Known for her striking beauty and confident demeanor, she had developed a reputation for being magnetic and persuasive, qualities that had drawn Michael Barrett to her in the first place. Stephanie and Michael's relationship had begun as an affair during one of Michael's real estate showings. Angela's friends had described the betrayal as devastating, especially given Angela's selfless act of donating her kidney to Michael just months before. After Michael and Angela divorced, Stephanie and Michael married quickly, raising eyebrows in their close-knit community. Tensions between Angela and Stephanie had been high ever since. Detectives called Stephanie in for questioning on June 10, 2015. She arrived at the station dressed in athletic wear, carrying a sleek Lululemon bag, and appeared composed. At first, Stephanie answered questions calmly, stating she had no ill will toward Angela despite their differences. She claimed that Angela was kinda hot but unable to move on from her divorce with Michael. Police asked Stephanie about her whereabouts on the evening of June 7, the night Angela was last seen alive. Stephanie mirrored Michael's statement, claiming they had been watching Game of Thrones at home. She added that they'd ordered takeout from a local restaurant, Beef O'Brady's, to support her alibi. Investigators noted her confidence but pressed her for more details. Stephanie's relationship with Angela quickly became a focal point of the interview. 2 days before Angela's murder, Stephanie had been seen arguing with her at a Publix grocery store. A store employee later confirmed that the two women had a heated exchange in the produce section. When asked about this confrontation, Stephanie admitted that Angela had accused her of ruining her marriage. She was emotional and upset, Stephanie explained, but didn't take it personally. Investigators then confronted Stephanie with Angela's recent journal entries, which suggested Angela had uncovered financial wrongdoing involving both Michael and Stephanie. Angela believed the couple had been laundering money through Stephanie's yoga studio, raising a possible motive for wanting Angela silenced. Stephanie denied any involvement in financial crimes and insisted Angela's suspicions were baseless. Stephanie's composure began to crack when detectives asked why her car had been spotted near Angela's home the night of the murder. She became defensive, claiming she had loaned her car to a friend that evening. However, she couldn't provide a name or any proof of this claim. As the interview went on, Stephanie's once confident tone shifted to frustration. She accused the detectives of targeting her unfairly and insisted she had nothing to hide. Despite her denials, her inconsistencies and the tension between her and Angela placed her firmly on the suspect list. Stephanie was released after hours of questioning but remained under scrutiny. Investigators believed there was more to her story and were determined to uncover the truth. On June 13, 2015, a scorching Saturday in Lakeland, Florida, a significant twist in Angela Barrett's case emerged. The temperature had soared past 90 degrees, and thunderstorms loomed on the horizon. That afternoon, a local hiker named Kevin Ramirez stumbled upon something unusual in a wooded area off State Road 33. While walking his Labrador, Marcel J. Abraham, Kevin noticed a leather-bound journal partially buried near a tree. Curious, he picked it up and opened it. The first page bore Angela Barrett's name. Kevin immediately contacted the Polk County Sheriff's Office. Officers arrived quickly, recognizing the journal's potential importance. Inside, they discovered pages filled with Angela's detailed notes about Michael and Stephanie Barrett. Angela had suspected the couple of involvement in illegal activities, including real estate fraud and money laundering. She had even written about fearing for her safety after confronting them. Detective Carla Jensen, the lead investigator, personally examined the journal. Its contents shed light on Angela's growing awareness of Michael and Stephanie's alleged crimes. One entry, dated just 2 weeks before her murder, revealed Angela's intent to take the evidence to authorities. This discovery suggested that her murder could have been an attempt to silence her. The journal's existence raised questions. Why had it been buried in the woods? Police theorized that the killer might have panicked, trying to dispose of incriminating evidence but failed to hide it completely. The location, about 12 miles from Angela's home, was remote enough to avoid immediate detection but not well hidden. Detective Jensen ordered a thorough search of the area where the journal was found. Officers combed through the woods and uncovered additional clues. A single latex glove and a receipt from a hardware store dated June 6, the day before Angela's disappearance. The receipt listed items such as duct tape and garbage bags, which investigators believe might be linked to the crime. This new evidence shifted the investigation into high gear. Detectives began re-examining statements made by both Michael and Stephanie Barrett, looking for inconsistencies. The journal not only pointed to a possible motive, but also confirmed Angela had been actively working to expose their wrongdoing. The discovery of Angela's journal marked a turning point in the case. For police, it wasn't just a piece of evidence. It was Angela's voice, offering clues from beyond the grave. As the investigation deepened, the police turned their focus to an unexpected suspect, Detective Carla Jensen, 42, the lead investigator on Angela Barrett's case. Carla was a 15-year veteran of the Polk County Sheriff's Office, known for her sharp instincts and no-nonsense attitude. Her reputation as a dedicated detective who could solve even the toughest cases made her a trusted figure in law enforcement circles. However, her professional demeanor masked a personal secret that would soon unravel her credibility. On June 14, 2015, detectives working alongside Carla discovered that she had a personal connection to Michael Barrett. Phone records revealed frequent late-night calls between the two dating back several months. Further investigation uncovered a history of romantic involvement. Carla and Michael had been having an affair, one that began after his divorce from Angela, but before his marriage to Stephanie. This revelation sent shockwaves through the department. Carla was removed from the case immediately, and an internal investigation was launched to determine if she had compromised the investigation. Her colleagues, many of whom had admired her work, were stunned. Sheriff Thomas Graves called it a deeply disappointing turn of events. When questioned about her relationship with Michael, Carla initially denied any wrongdoing. She claimed that her personal life had no bearing on the investigation and that she had followed all proper procedures. However, investigators uncovered troubling details. For example, key pieces of evidence, including Angela's journal, had been delayed in reaching forensic analysts, and Carla had dismissed early suspicions about Michael as baseless. Confronted with these inconsistencies, Carla admitted to withholding evidence, but insisted she had not been involved in Angela's murder. She claimed that her actions were meant to protect Michael from what she believed were unfounded accusations. Her explanation did little to satisfy investigators, who now viewed her as a suspect. Carla's colleagues interrogated her over several days, seeking answers about her role in the case. Her responses were calm but defensive. She maintained her innocence, asserting that her relationship with Michael had ended months earlier and that she had no knowledge of Angela's death. Despite her claims, circumstantial evidence continued to pile up. Carla had been in contact with Michael the day before Angela's disappearance, and GPS data placed her near the wooded area where Angela's journal was later found. Investigators also uncovered surveillance footage from a local Home Depot showing Carla purchasing duct tape and garbage bags, items similar to those listed on the receipt found near the journal. As the evidence against her mounted, Carla's story began to crumble. Her once sterling reputation was now overshadowed by suspicion. Investigators believed that her involvement with Michael had clouded her judgment, leading her to tamper with the case and potentially play a direct role in covering up the crime. The investigation into Carla marked a dramatic twist in Angela Barrett's case, further complicating an already tangled web of betrayal and deceit. On June 16, 2015, the Lakeland Police Department made a breakthrough in Angela Barrett's murder case. New evidence uncovered during a detailed forensic analysis pointed directly to Stephanie Barrett, Michael Barrett's second wife and Angela's former romantic rival. Investigators determined that Stephanie had both the motive and means to commit the heinous crime, and her carefully crafted alibi began to fall apart under closer scrutiny. Stephanie, 35, a local yoga instructor and owner of Sunset Serenity Yoga Studio, had initially portrayed herself as a grieving stepmother figure, eager to cooperate with authorities. However, investigators had already suspected her due to her volatile relationship with Angela. Witnesses reported a heated argument between the two women at a Publix grocery store just days before Angela's murder. Stephanie was overheard saying, "You should have stayed the bleep out of our lives. Now, you'll bleeping regret it." The turning point in the investigation came when forensic technicians examined Angela's remains more thoroughly. Fibers from a rug found at Stephanie's home matched fibers found on Angela's dismembered body. Additionally, blood spatter evidence discovered in Stephanie's garage was confirmed to be Angela's through DNA testing. Investigators also retrieved Angela's journal, which had been reported missing. The journal contained damning notes about Michael and Stephanie's alleged financial crimes, providing a potential motive for silencing Angela. Detectives pieced together a timeline using phone records, surveillance footage, and witness statements. They concluded that Stephanie lured Angela to her home under the pretense of reconciliation on the evening of June 7. Once there, Stephanie shot Angela multiple times with a handgun registered under Michael's name. Afterward, Stephanie dismembered Angela's body using tools purchased from a local Lowe's. Surveillance footage showed Stephanie at the store on June 9, buying a saw, heavy-duty garbage bags, and cleaning supplies. On the morning of June 17, police executed a warrant to arrest Stephanie at her yoga studio during an early class. Officers described her reaction as a mix of shock and anger. She initially protested, claiming she was innocent and being framed by jealous people. Her students looked on in disbelief as she was escorted out in handcuffs. Michael Barrett, who had been under scrutiny as well, was questioned about his wife's involvement. He denied any knowledge of Stephanie's actions and insisted he had no part in Angela's murder. However, investigators found his denial suspicious, given his connection to the case and the couple's criminal activities. Angela's family expressed relief but also deep sorrow upon hearing of Stephanie's arrest. Angela's brother, Pastor William Carter, told local reporters, "Justice is beginning, but nothing will bring my sister back. She deserves so much better." The arrest of Stephanie Barrett marked a pivotal moment in the case. The evidence against her was overwhelming, and police were confident they had found Angela Barrett's killer. The trial of Stephanie Barrett began in early March 2017. More than a year after Angela Barrett's brutal murder, the courtroom was filled with Angela's family, friends, and the media, all eager to see justice served for the kind-hearted nurse, whose life had been tragically cut short. The case had gained widespread attention, not only because of the shocking crime but also due to the involvement of Stephanie's high-profile yoga business and the alleged money laundering activities that had been uncovered during the investigation. The prosecution, led by State Attorney Greg Landers, presented a compelling case. Landers, 47, known for his tough stance on violent crimes, meticulously laid out the evidence against Stephanie. He highlighted the damning forensic evidence, blood traces found in Stephanie's garage and fibers from her home on Angela's remains. He also emphasized Angela's journal, which contained incriminating details about Michael and Stephanie's illegal activities, including their involvement in a real estate fraud scheme. This was not just a crime of passion. This was a calculated, premeditated murder, Landers told the jury. He argued that Stephanie's fear of being exposed for her role in the fraud drove her to kill Angela in cold blood. In defense of Stephanie, her attorney, 43-year-old Lauren Davis, argued that the evidence against her was circumstantial and that the prosecution's case was based on assumptions. Davis, a seasoned criminal defense lawyer known for her calm demeanor in court, suggested that someone else could have planted the evidence to frame Stephanie. She also pointed out that no one had seen Stephanie actually commit the murder, and there were gaps in the timeline that left room for doubt. Davis portrayed her client as a woman under immense pressure, caught in a toxic relationship with Michael, and claimed that Stephanie's behavior following Angela's death was not consistent with that of a guilty person. The jury deliberated for 2 days before returning with a verdict. On March 22, 2017, Stephanie Barrett was found guilty of first-degree murder, dismemberment of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. The courtroom fell silent as the verdict was read aloud, and Angela's family members wiped away tears of relief. During the sentencing phase, the prosecution asked for the maximum penalty: life in prison without the possibility of parole. Landers reminded the court that Angela had been selfless in life, donating a kidney to save Michael, only to be betrayed and brutally murdered. Stephanie Barrett took the life of a woman who would have given anything to help others, he said. Stephanie's defense attorney, Lauren Davis, begged for leniency, citing her client's troubled relationship and the pressures she faced in her personal life. However, the judge who presided over the case stated that the brutality of the crime left no room for mercy. On March 30, 2017, Stephanie was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Angela's family expressed mixed emotions following the sentencing. While they were relieved that justice had been served, they could not shake the pain of losing Angela in such a horrific way. After Stephanie Barrett's sentencing in March 2017, the lives of those involved in the case continued to unfold in unexpected ways. For Stephanie, life in prison became a harsh reality. The Florida Department of Corrections placed her in a high-security facility due to the brutal nature of her crime. She was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for the murder of Angela Barrett, and she quickly learned that prison life would be far different from the comfortable lifestyle she had once known as a yoga instructor. In interviews, she expressed remorse for what she had done, but many believed that her remorse was more about her lost freedom than her victim. Meanwhile, Michael Barrett, Angela's ex-husband and Stephanie's former lover, found his life turning in a new direction. In the months following the trial, Michael continued to struggle with his financial troubles. Despite his charming persona and his role as a real estate agent, his business ventures had failed, and he was faced with mounting debts. In a move that shocked many, Michael filed for divorce from Stephanie in 2018 while she was still serving her prison sentence. Reports indicated that Michael had been in a romantic relationship with Detective Carla Jensen, the lead investigator on Angela's murder case. It was revealed that Carla had secretly been involved with Michael during the investigation, though her role in the case had raised serious ethical concerns. After his divorce from Stephanie, Michael married Carla in a private ceremony in late 2018. This union raised eyebrows, as Carla's involvement in the case, and the fact that she had withheld evidence during the investigation, led to questions about her professional integrity. However, despite public scrutiny, Carla stood by her actions, claiming that her relationship with Michael was based on love and that she had no involvement in Angela's death beyond her role as a detective. The couple moved to a small suburban home in Lakeland, Florida, where they attempted to live a quiet life away from the media spotlight. The Barrett family, still reeling from the loss of Angela, had mixed feelings about the fates of Michael, Carla, and Stephanie. Angela's brother, Pastor William Carter, stated in an interview, "Michael may have moved on, but for us it's a daily struggle. Angela's death left a hole that no one can fill." Despite their grief, the family found some peace in knowing that justice had been served for Angela, even if the aftermath continued to stir up painful memories.